This meeting is an emergency meeting of the Board of Education in public for the purpose of discussing the driver shortage in the Transportation Department and a possible executive session to prepare for negotiations or bargaining session with employees concerning compensation and other terms and conditions of employment and other business that may come before the board. Meeting is called to order at 4 p.m. in the Tarbuck Center Conference Room. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Foley,
Here.
Mr. Leidig.
Here.
Mr. Roberts.
Here.
Mrs. Metzger here. Mr. Welch is not here.
He said he was coming. I haven't heard from him. He did say he was coming.
We
So
told him it was 4.
yeah, he knew it was 4. Okay. All right. Start our discussion regarding the transportation and staffing concerns.
Andy, you have.
Oh.
So are we having our discussion now, or are we
Yeah.
moving?
Yeah, we can begin and have
Just have a little bit of
So
discussion.
long as you're discussing
Yeah.
generalities about comparisons or where we're at and everything else, that's all open.
Okay,
If you start talking about strategically negotiations that things you want to present to, obviously that's subject to executive session, you can go to executive session from there.
okay. Why don't we just start with the stuff that we already kind of know, or that's kind of out there, right? That we, where are we? What happened and where are we?
So a couple weeks ago, apparently Riverside District had passed a memorandum of understanding or agreement that increased their compensation to bus drivers. And for some reason, we have had 5 bus drivers tentatively resign or give their letter of resignation to our district to go with their intent to go to Riverside. And so this created obviously, kind of a shock through our system of how we're going to respond by potentially losing, a third of our drivership moving forward. And so again, and there was a lot of emotions, I think for a lot of reasons, some of those bus drivers may have had some foreign feelings because of, the fact that they liked Perry or wanted to be at Perry, but they couldn't pass up the opportunity to make a significant more per hour wage. And we've been working very closely with OPSI's leadership and talking about, while we understand we're under a current agreement, that as we always do when unexpected things happen and we have a kind of a domino effect occurring here, we're willing to look and see and doing some analysis to see if there's something we should be responding to, or whether we should just let things be and move forward and let this go. And so we've been involved in, Mr. Gallant and Mrs. Capo have been involved in doing a regional local market analysis of where compensation is in our area transportation departments and some things that are offering. But we've also, put out an anticipated posting of vacancies that are coming here, with the idea that, what's it going to take to attract new drivers? This is not something that is specific to our district. Districts throughout the region have been doing and trying to be creative in ways that they could maintain drivership. And so, unfortunately, what may has happened is a little bit of poaching. There's only so many drivers, and some districts have chosen to try to attract them with better compensation and so forth. So that's kind of where we stand. We also worked with Randy Usher on a contingency plan that to ensure that we're going to make sure that we continue to get our children safely to school and home. We've got some things that may have to go in effect as early as tomorrow, where a few pickups might be late, double routed. And those folks have been notified individually that they're likely, their students will be picked up a little later than what has been in the schedule. And so that's how we're going, forward Thursday and Friday. And, again, we talked about, what it may take to establish a solid, substitution list. Both OPSI leadership and ourselves have been out there campaigning, even at the Halloween parade yesterday. We had some discussion with folks and trying to get some people on the list to try to build this.
Yeah.
And so, and I think we've got some things going as far as getting them prepared. Now, people that don't yet have the qualifications, depending where they are with CDLs, it could be a couple weeks, a week, it could be 4 weeks or 6 weeks to train folks. So in the meantime, we'll continue to look at things to see what we're able to do. We have gotten a couple commitments for past employees that are going to step up and come to our aid, and for at least 3 or 4 weeks are willing to help bridge the gap or any gaps we might have in drivership.
Okay.
So with that, I think, Jen, if you want, I think we've looked at some analysis, and I think we're in a position to make a recommendation to change or adjust our sub rate.
Yes.
At this time.
I also want to point out that the jobs we're talking about that are the drivers in Perry versus the drivers in other districts, it's not always comparing apples to apples. It's not the same job. We don't have the same geographic area, the same number of students. It's a much different look in the job itself. We can't create a 3-hour route for the morning and a 3-hour route for the afternoon. Right? So
Right.
we offer other opportunities within the district throughout the day. If someone wants to work in the cafeteria or,
Exactly.
right,
We do.
And
recess,
we've been
lunch.
doing these things, we had a couple employees that, again, because we've heard that benefits is something that would hold and give us a chance to maybe have long-term employees. And so we have looked at combining both drivership routes and an associate type of work during the day that would get them the hours they need to qualify for benefits.
Okay.
And actually, one of the employees that's still choosing to leave was in one of those hybrid situations this year where we're able to get those benefit pieces. So yeah, this is not something that we've just started on this last couple
Right.
days. We've been trying to look for ways, and we also honor our contract. We've been very good and had great relationships with our unions, and we are working under a ratified contract. And so to change it midstream is not something we do lightly.
I mean, we've been fortunate to stay out of this, I think, for this long, in this situation, but our families are lucky too, because they're not on a bus for an hour. I don't think
Right.
in
No,
any of our routes.
I think our longest route's 35 minutes.
Yes.
Yeah, and so we're fortunate that's our situation in regards to that. We're not fortunate to lose our drivers, but
So in just going to losing the drivers, are we losing the drivers based on financial and benefits, or are there other issues that are causing the drivers to leave?
Well, again, and when you go through a period of emotional storming that happens, again, there have been some things said about, management and those things, but for the most part, I think primarily what we're talking about is that just baseline cost of hourly wage. Because in the end, and there have been some union meetings, and the report back has been, while we put together some options that we want them to discuss, would they be considered? Because we're not looking to steal the next batch of drivers. We would like to establish something that would give us long-term stability and people that are committed to Perry and continue to work here. And we're talking about building a team of 12. Okay, this is not, that's a softball team to me. So, we need to get 12 of the right people on the bus, no pun intended. And so in an executive session, we'd like to talk to you about a few things and maybe some longevity, some incentive pieces that we maybe, if your willingness, maybe we could propose But anything that we do contractually obviously has to be approved by OPSI membership prior to us being able to enact anything. Now, substitution compensation is something that exists outside of the bargaining unit, and we can act on that to maybe help entice some subs to get in here and be available for us. So good question, and then that's kind of where we stand. So
So I know you gotta have a CDL with the school bus and passenger endorsements. I think, I'm not 100% positive on this, but some districts might help get those endorsements. Do we help an individual who has his current CDL, get the school bus and passenger endorsements? Is that something we do as a
We're
district?
going to.
We're going
Yes,
to.
we had to think. In fact, two of the drivers, one had only been here a week and the other one had just started in August and we'd help both of them.
Okay,
And then-
okay, that's what I was trying to see, because I looked at what was online, it said we'll provide training as necessary, so I didn't know what fell underneath that, and so the endorsements is what is also included in that?
Yeah,
Okay,
we also put in there, if to reimburse people. After they've been here so many days, we would reimburse them for their license. if they had to pay for it.
For the time that they're spending during the training.
Yeah,
And we did that last
yeah.
Last
year. We put that in place last year.
Right,
And we all-
did that, and then
Okay.
two people were going to turn the receipts in, but they didn't last time.
and we
Okay. Okay,
remember we instituted that referral program as well.
yes,
Yeah,
we
so
did.
Tried that too.
We tried the referral program
So
and
looking at these comparison rates, up until Riverside just did a pretty big increase, and that was what, within the last month?
October.
Okay, so they just increased it. We're pretty average.
yeah, it's been our goal, and based on the direction, we feel like Perry's a pretty good place to work. And we want to pay our folks above average in the area. We don't necessarily want to be the top dog. We don't feel like we should have to try to compete with a Mentor or Louise Lake or some of these larger districts. But at the same time, we want to be in an above average area. And when we looked at, again, we did another analysis today and this week, and for most positions, we are right there. Now, with the changes that are going on out there, Kenston bumped theirs way up, and some other districts, we have maybe in the bus driver area fallen a little bit below the above average mark by
About 8%.
about 8%.
Okay.
There's also the difference between the starting rate and the growth too, right? For the
That's
steps.
Yeah,
big,
no,
That's a
yeah,
big
definitely.
difference.
yes.
Yeah.
So
If
If
you
you,
look at that,
look, if you go down, yeah,
look at that second to last column,
Mm-hmm.
where we currently stand and starting drivers, which is minus 7.85% below average, to where we end at 25 years. 1.96 above, and then actually, but somewhere in the middle of that 20-year range, we're about 3% or so above the average. But so we catch up because we have a pay scale that hits for a number of years. And a lot of other districts might go 5 years, and they go 10 years, they may skip 5 years or something like that. So we catch up through time.
And Riverside's new, salary schedule, was it go to 10 and then it goes, you don't get another increase till 5 or 15, 20. So ours, you get increases every year for 17 years.
So they get you in there, and then they start freezing.
Then they freeze.
And then we also had annual increases, right?
Right, yeah.
And again, so this is just for 23, 24 year,
Right, so there
So-
haven't been years where there hasn't been increases in the last
About
4
past-
years.
10, 12 years.
Okay,
Right.
Did you want to talk about sub rates, Jen?
I think that's later in the.
Is that,
it's
okay.
On the agenda later.
Is there other
We're gonna go
discussion
to
that
Executive session, right?
before?
and what, I'm
Yeah.
sorry, but
Okay.
what is the hours now where they need to get benefits?
So
37.
for family benefits, so for
35.
25 hours a week. They are eligible for single, and at 35, they're eligible for family.
But there's some that are different, right?
Everyone's a little different, yes.
What do you mean?
Well, there's some,
Grandfathered in?
yeah, like the,
Yeah, that we have like, is it 3 right now, still in the contract, but
I don't think anything has changed in the last.
No.
there's like 3
No,
different
there's
sections, like if they were here
Yeah,
before, they were hired
right.
before this time, if they're hired before this time. there's
Right.
3 different sets, but for the most part here, it's after 2005, is that?
And by the way, that that's another reason why it's sometimes hard to compare. Because there's a number of districts that have, before and after dates, and they have different hours, so at 25 hours, the Riverhead's 27 hours, and some districts are 30 hours. I mean, so there's some differences in, you almost have to read every single contract. If you want to understand and
Is-
do an apples to apples.
Are the benefit hours the same across these? Did you look at that at all?
We didn't look at it for all the districts, but in Riverside it is
27.
27.
27.
Yeah, they made it 27.
So they just changed that.
Yes.
Mhm.
And we're
Yeah.
at,
Cause they used to be on a
Or they-
tiered system,
and we are
Okay.
at
and
what,
now,
30 for family benefits,
family
35.
35, yeah.
But we have recently put out there to OPSI that when they drive field trips, we would actually allow those hours to be contracted to count towards benefits. That was part of our discussion.
So what is the hours for individual benefits?
20,
25.
25.
So the majority of
It
our
was-
drivers do work 5 hours a day. But
Right,
They, majority of them qualify for single benefit.
okay,
Because when we first did this in 205, it was a district, where most people were single. And they just, it was a mom and she just needed single benefits, but now it's moved on where people want family benefits. And so that's where the change has been,
Well-
that's why now more people want it, so then we started offering working in the cafeteria or that. Or
To give those hours.
we have people that have worked in the cafeteria, so they could do that midday, and then they get the 7 to 8 hours, then when they take a field trip, it's all a time and a half.
right.
That's just 4 hours.
And I'll
So
say
it's
that
worked out.
over the last number of years, we've worked with OPSI. And those people who have wanted the opportunities to get to family benefits, we kind of afforded them those opportunities through the cafeteria or through routes and middays and everything else to get to the number of hours needed. So those people who, and I think that's why we're struggling now, because the people who have wanted family benefits have been given the opportunities to get them. But the ones who don't, and when we say, hey, we'll count some of these field trips, they don't want to do that to get to those. They don't want to work the nights or anything else to guarantee that, because they want some guarantees. We provided that, that's why it's not a big sell right now.
When we say field trips, we mean not specifically just field trips, we mean extracurricular
Any trips.
activities,
Yeah,
anything
that-
aside
that-
from the standard routes. It's point of clarity.
You're right.
Okay,
Okay.
It's anything outside of the route.
okay,
And right now, we're in a little, obviously, we're in a little bit of a lull in between sports.
Yeah.
But obviously in the spring, it's crazy.
right.
And then that's when trips get, because they're changed in the weather and it just becomes.
Well, we get so
We
many.
get home games in the
coaches
off
that get band
season.
Certified too. to
And we've
help.
talked with TJ in the athletic department and, you know, sometimes, and like other districts are already doing, we're gonna have to wait till that afternoon route's done before we transport to other activities. And so, you know, we might not be able to start at 4:15 or, you know, it might be a 5 o'clock start for some of our sporting events in the afternoons now. And that's happening everywhere.
Mhm.
So in going back to comparing the jobs at Riverside, for example, you're working a 6-hour day just by doing your morning route and your afternoon route. So times 5 days a week, you qualify for benefits
Right.
automatically.
And we don't
without
really
doing
wanna-
anything.
Put kids on the bus longer than we have to, right?
Right.
We can't make our routes longer.
And to further your
No,
point,
We
Tiffany,
could,
We, I mean, we can't, but we don't want to do
we
that.
don't,
our routes average about 5.5 hours. So
Okay.
they would qualify on average, again, it's like one that may be below 5, but they would qualify for the single. But if they wanted to qualify for the family, they'd have to pick up something else,
Okay,
a midday route or a job as an associate or something like that. Again, during the day, okay, so to get that, and again, we've afforded that to them through the years.
And we also had the grant money, we had the REACH program for a lot of years, so we don't
Right.
have that this year. So that was at least 3 drivers that would get an extra
Oh,
That was the
summer
after
after
school
school,
ride.
that was,
trip.
we talked about, we had that in contract. When it's
Yeah.
contracted, then they get benefits. So we had drivers that were able to get that REACH time, and that gave them benefits also.
And that's another example of how
That's how
we
we
kind
tried
of reached out to them to get to that level.
to get those things as, the contract.
Thanks.
that's why we're here.
Yeah,
That's why we're
and
here. I appreciate everything you guys, I know you've been working at this for a lot of hours and days amongst other things in your daily jobs that you all have, so I appreciate it.
So The comment that the benefits were cut, the benefits were never cut, and I know that was said a lot out in the public, that we've never cut the benefits. Benefits have been the same since 205,
Okay.
so that was never ever done, so I never commented, but I'm telling you
Yeah.
that.
Thank you for clarifying.
Yeah, thank you.
That's very true, that did not happen.
Thank you for clarifying.
Yeah, and actually, and to that point as well. I met with one of the drivers and doing an exit interview with one of them. We talked about benefits. We talked about the cost of benefits. So she talked about the eligibility for the Plan 1. It's the consortium Plan 1 that they will pay $73.88 a month for. And which is $886 or so per year, which has a $500 deductible and $2,000 co-insurance. And it's a maximum out-of-pocket potential of about $33.86 per single plan. I didn't do the family, but our plan, which is the high deductible plan, but we make that contribution to the HSAs, and actually Riverside does not make any HSA or FSA contributions. Ours is $72.19 a month for single. So it's actually $1 less per month out of your paycheck. And although it has a higher initial deductible, now this next year is going to be $3,200. This year it was $3,000. We pay next year $1,280 of that into the deductible. So the maximum out of pocket of the two plans is less than $200 difference. So the same, I'm sorry, so same doctors, same network, it's just a different structure of it with a maximum difference of, actually, I shouldn't even say maximum, it's 200 because the plan that we have is the maximum out of pocket. The other plan at $33.86 maximum out of pocket does not include, because doctor visits and prescription drug costs are in addition to that, ours includes.
And plus, if if you don't use the HSA,
Yeah.
it carries over and builds, so that's max out of pocket
So-
deductible, but you get it front.
Well, again, if you're not using it, then you're also not using the deductible on the other side either. So, I mean, I'm just saying your potential liability,
So they're pretty similar plans.
very similar plan, yes.
Okay.
The other piece that, or a couple pieces, I think that people aren't looking at for foresight is that they're eligible for benefits and they decline them. Riverside pays $800 single and $1,600 family, and we pay $2,000 and $4,000.
That's our in lieu of.
That's our payment,
Okay.
yes, and that's. And then the other thing I came across here when I was reading the Riverside contract is, we have a severance package that, although the structure of the two is similar, those drivers are either close to, I mean, they're eligible for a severance package. For them to go to Riverside, they're gonna have to work 10 more years at Riverside to be eligible to get any severance whatsoever. And that's a piece that they're probably all missing. Yeah, so, I did reach out to all 5 of them, do an exit interview. One of them did meet with me, one of them talked to Jen.
Yeah,
Yes.
and she said she wants to meet, but she still hasn't
Yeah, it's gotten back to us.
gotten back with us.
Another one hasn't gotten back to us, and then 2 of them we haven't heard from at all.
And then the other change that Riverside made, this is what attracted their benefits. Riverside's always been known as, through the OC world, that they give all their good health care to their 12-month employees. And then they slight as they go down. And that's what they have always done. So what they did on this this MOA that they did when they raised the prices, they brought all their 27-hour employees into what they pay their 12-month people. This 10%, only for the 2 years though. So that's why the prices went so low, because that's what they were letting 12-month employees get.
So that's only good for 2 years. And then
That's
we
all
go
that
back?
MOU was good for 2 years.
Oh, okay, okay.
So,
And we have always
So it could
offered
be
the same benefits to
right.
our OC people as we have our teachers.
Right, we've always been fair. I mean, with 12 months and 9 months and 10 months, we've always offered the same thing. The Riverside big known for that. Now, they only did that with their plan 1. They kept with it with their plan 2, which is higher insurance. But I've always been told that at OC that they show discrimination against the, like the 12 months are better than, so I'm just.
Interesting.
I'm saying this-
And I want to make it clear too, no, technically, the board has not the resignations are not on the agenda for approval tonight, so we have not approved any resignations yet.
Correct.
Okay.
Let me add, though, that, I think it's, in fact, as early as tomorrow, although we haven't today.
Some drivers are done today.
Some drivers have already, whether you've accepted the resignation, have abandoned their position and are driving for another district right now. So, you know, we'd have to cross that bridge when we get to it if we were gonna do anything different.
Yeah, that's something to consider if we change this contract, right? In the MOU. Okay. Are we set to go into executive session, or do you want to address,
believe so.
should we skip over it and go to the superintendent's report, or which, and then
We might-
do you have a
Probably go to
preference?
executive
Go to
session.
executive section?
We can talk, I mean, well, I don't think, you talk about the sub rates.
Yeah, but
That,
we, no.
go ahead, no, you're 2%, I'm not.
I understand, we've been,
I'd rather just like,
I've thrown a few balls in you the last week or two a little bit, yeah, I mean, but there, you know, some of the things you talk in executive session might impact your thinking on.
Okay,
substitute.
then we
Yeah.
should go to executive
Okay,
session.
fair
So let me make that motion pursuant to Ohio Revised Code, section 121.22 G4. I hereby move that the board adjourn to executive session to prepare for negotiations or bargaining sessions with employees concerning compensation and other terms and conditions of employment.
I'll second that.
Thank you. Board will move into executive session and at 4:30, 4:28, and roll call, please.
Mr. Leidig,
Yes.
Mr. Roberts.
Yes.
Mrs. Preston. Yes. And Mrs. Foley.
Yes.
Mr. Floyd, would you like to?
Wilson, you want to move on to your report?
Yes, Mr. Floyd, thank you. The board is asked to authorize the chief financial officer to modify the substitute bus operator rate of pay and the daily substitute rate of pay as recommended by the local superintendent financial officer, chief financial officer.
No.
Thank you.
I'd
Yeah,
like to,
Well, yeah, now we ask for a motion.
I'm I'd like
asking
to
for a
amend the
motion.
motion to, modify it to increase the casual and daily sub rate to, for certified, no,
Teachers,
teachers to $125.
And the sub rate for drivers,
And the sub rate for drivers to the
$21.
$21.
you need an effective date,
November 1st.
November first.
and what about teachers who might already be under contract,
So
November first.
It would
it would be
be forward,
effective November
or
1st.
any casual or.
Casual or
somebody
daily
who's under
subs.
contract? Okay.
but that would be written in the
So-
motion, correct?
Yeah.
That'll be written in the motion.
Yes.
I have it. And so, someone gonna second,
Second.
Oh, wait, Jesse and who?
I made the motion,
No, that's-
Jesse seconded.
Any discussion? Anyone want to discuss? Please? Questions? Okay, thank you. So we've just increased our sub rate for teachers
To
to
100.
125 per day.
Yes.
Okay.
And,
And for our bus drivers to $21 per hour.
yes,
Okay. For substitutes. Thank you. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Preston,
Yes.
Mrs. Foley,
Yes.
Mr. Leidig,
Yes.
and Mr. Roberts.
Yes.
Everything you do with that.
Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
I know that's what we're gonna say.
Roll call, please.
Mrs. Foley,
Yes.
Mr. Leidig,
Yes.
Mr. Roberts,
Yes.
Mrs. Preston.